F1 fans, your favourite European Grand Prix are under threat. Yes, Stefano Domenicali, F1 CEO, basically the spokesperson for Liberty Media Formula One Management Group, has come out and said he has some news to share soon with regard to the possibility of some rotational European Grand Prix circuits. So this is not set in stone, but to be fair, this is the man who brought in sprint races. He spoke about sprint races for a long time. He wants to maximise the entertainment factor of the F1 product that is currently owned by Liberty Media. And I get it from a business perspective, that's what you want to do. But if it is at the cost of some of the greatest racing circuits in the world, regardless if you live in Europe or not, as an F1 fan, this should concern you. I think we can take a pretty educated guess as to the reason for this. So let's take a little dive into why this rotational aspect of European Grand Prix circuits is potentially going to be introduced. So firstly is the amount of races we have on the calendar. At the moment, as you know, it is 24 race weekends with 6 sprint races. And well, at the moment, with 24 race weekends, Stefano Domenicali does admit we are in a sweet spot with the amount of races we have. However, the current Concord agreement, the contract between the FIA, the Formula One Management Group and the Formula One teams, which runs out at the end of 2025 to be renewed, has the provision in there for 25 race weekends. With Kyalami, the race circuit in South Africa, and with Africa being the only continent that F1 is yet to have a race on, which would truly make F1 global with a race on every single continent across the world. So with Europe currently occupying 10 Grand Prix on a calendar, that is a lot, and there's not a provision for any other race circuits to make their way onto the calendar. Of course, with the interest now of a potential Argentinian race circuit, surprise, surprise, trying to capitalize on the massive popularity that Colapinto has had, even though he's only had 6 races in the sport thus far, yet to have a seat for confirmed for next year, but no doubt that will change very soon. They are looking to capitalize wherever possible on the popularity of a single driver, hence why really I personally think we head to circuits like Zandvoort for Max Verstappen's popularity, understandably, while we head to Mexico as well for Sergio Perez's popularity. And when those drivers maybe move on from the sport, we won't see those race circuits on the calendar anymore. Similar to how, unfortunately, we no longer have a German Grand Prix because we've lost Sebastian Vettel, Nico Rosberg. Yes, we have Nico Hülkenberg as a German driver on the grid, but he was nowhere near as popular, or is nowhere near as popular as Sebastian Vettel or Nico Rosberg, who are former world champions or world champions. So yes, the fact that that does have a driving factor in viewership and turnout in regards to spectators, it does play a factor. But the biggest factor out of everything is money. F1 is a very expensive sport. Hey, motorsport in general is very expensive, all the way from grassroots level at karting to the very top of Formula One. And well, it's very expensive to host an F1 race as well. The graph on your screen right now has been taken from Statista, and it took the fees for every race circuit, what they had to pay to Formula One Management Group for the luxury of hosting an F1 race. Now, each unit on this graph represents $1 million, and at a first glance you can see there is a big difference between first and last place. You can see that Azerbaijan pays $57 million per year for hosting their street circuit at Baku. That is quite a surprise to me. I did suspect it would be one of the Middle Eastern countries, although they are not too far behind. And of course, Monaco is the lowest paying fee with $20 million. But if we remove the non-European circuits here, we see there are 3 European circuits that occupy the top 10. Baku occupies the top spot at 57 million, Hungary with Hungaroring at 40 million, and then the Netherlands with Zandvoort at 32 million. And then this is where the issue lies for Liberty Media. They have 7 out of those 10 European races on the calendar that are paying 26 million or less. And for Liberty Media Formula One Management Group, when they have 4 race circuits that are already paying over 50 million for the luxury of hosting an F1 race, This is seen as a considerable loss of potential revenue for them. But they're stuck in a rock and a hard place, because these race circuits that are part of Europe and paying these reduced fees compared to those at the top, especially in the Middle East, they are circuits that have so much history with F1. Fans have a personal attachment to them, and if you remove these race circuits, the likes of Spa, the likes of Silverstone, Monza, Monaco, although Monaco is a very contentious one depending on who you ask, you risk alienating a lot of your fan base, because there is already, of course, a lot of pushback on street circuits and just circuits in general that do not provide good racing. That's ultimately what we want to see. We want to see naturally occurring drama and good wheel-to-wheel racing. We're race fans. We want to see tracks that provide great racing. And in recent years, we've seen arguably too many street circuits added which don't allow that. And it's more so about the glamour and the backdrop of the TV coverage than it is the actual primary focus of F1 wheel-to-wheel racing. So with limited spaces remaining on the F1 calendar, and no doubt with an increase in demand, and Formula One management knowing they can make considerably more money, but they currently have a roadblock of European races, historic European races, that if removed would infuriate their current fan base. That brings us full circle back round to the current proposal of rotational European races. So by implementing this, Stefano Domenicali ensures that more spaces are freed up on the calendar for more $50 million race paying circuits, and also still satisfies, although not fully satisfying, F1 fans that some of your favourite historic F1 circuits remain on the calendar. They're not completely disappearing. You'll just have to wait every 2 years for them, and no doubt they'll try and drum up the hype for us returning to these historic F1 circuits. Now, which circuits will these be? At the moment, no one truly knows. Of course, more information is yet to be announced, and maybe we'll get that information when Stefano Domenicali gives us more info. But there are reports, as per Autosport, they have stated that it is potential that with Barcelona, their contract is coming to an end next year and being replaced by the Madrid circuit, street circuit, another one. But they may be on a rotational basis with Zandvoort. There are also circuits on the calendar that are coming to the end of their contracts. Spa-Francorchamps only has a year left, as does Monza. I've already mentioned Zandvoort and Imola. You can argue that maybe Zandvoort and Imola would do better to be on a rotational basis, as those are some circuits that, while they have great support, don't necessarily always provide the best racing. But do not fear, guys. While we know that this decision is primarily monetary driven to ensure that Liberty Media increase their revenue and their profits, this could be a good thing for some of the circuits that we have been wanting back on the calendar for quite some time. The likes of Hockenheim, Nürburgring, Sepang. These are circuits that just come to mind that maybe benefit from an extra year of raising funds to enable them to host an F1 race and to give these fees to Liberty Media that they want to host an F1 race, and primarily us fans get what we want and get a return to these great racing circuits that provide great racing and drama for us in a championship battle. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree with this idea? If this is to go ahead, and let's be honest, it's already been muted, so no doubt it probably will do. What circuits would you like to see on the current racing calendar be on a rotational basis? What would you accept to lose on the current calendar and be every other year on the racing calendar? And what circuits would you like to see added back to the calendar if they were to utilise this rotational basis? I've just mentioned a few there, but no doubt you also have a few in mind as well. Let me know what you think in the comments below. We'll see you for the next one. See you then. Bye.